Hello and welcome to Blank Plate, a podcast for Swifties with an appetite.
I'm Sarah, and I used to be a little kid with glasses in a twin-size bed.
And I'm Laura, and I'm a mess, but I'm the mess that you wanted.
And we've got a blank plate, baby, and we'll write your name.
Woohoo!
All right, welcome. We have a special, unexpected episode that we are doing here.
Yeah, Taylor's got us working overtime.
Which keeps happening to us. Here we are with an unexpected episode because we have so many updates that it was too much to put at the top of another episode. We're giving it its own episode.
Taylor's got us working overtime.
Yeah.
Which we happily do, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But.
Yeah.
So today we're talking all about the Tortured Poets Department variants / theories that we have with all this new information.
Yes.
And again, I'm sure that by the time this episode comes out, there's going to be even more. So.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so at this point, we have had all of the variants released, though, because after she released the Black Dog, she described it as the final variant.
Right.
So unless she's clowning us and she has more, who knows?
She's been known to do crazier things, so...
Yeah.
So she's announced these vinyl album variants with different bonus tracks, which... this is the first time she's done different like album covers and different bonus tracks on each vinyl, correct?
Yeah, because Midnight's had multiple variants, because remember, it's a clock.
It's a clock.
But they just had different colors for the record itself and different photos for the covers, but they did not have separate bonus tracks. So this is the first time that each different variant has its own specific bonus track.
Yeah, I think it's a good marketing ploy, honestly, because everyone wants to hear them, of course.
Yeah. So we have the manuscript is the original one.
Yes.
Which I want to know, did she make it clear whether or not the streaming version that gets released, is that going to include the manuscript, or is the manuscript only on that vinyl?
That's a good question. I don't know. Because, I mean, here's the thing with Midnight's, if we're going to compare, we thought we were just getting the album with the, Midnight's Madness with Me.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, just kidding, here's the 3 a.m. edition, and here's all these extra songs. So,
and then also, is there going to be a Target exclusive version of this album?
Probably, yeah.
And will that have bonus tracks or like remixes or something?
She loves her remixes.
She does. Yeah, so the manuscript is the original, the white one, and then we had the Bolter, we got the Albatross, and now the Black Dog. So we've got a total of 4.
Yes, and we're going to do like a deep dive into our theories relating to each one. One of the coolest theories that's been all over the internet is that each of these variants correlates to like the phases of grief, and it goes sort of from black and starts in white and like gets darker and darker and darker till eventually it is black. So
yeah, like each variant, the outside color, because it's like a picture in the middle and then framed by a color, and the manuscript one is that white / off-white color, and then each one, that outside color has gotten darker.
Right. So there's people that are like categorizing each one as denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's been interesting to see.
So if that's the case, then denial would be the manuscript. Anger would be the Bolter. Bargaining is the Albatross, and then depression is the Black Dog, which actually really works because we'll talk about later. The Black Dog is a euphemism for depression.
Yeah.
Which I did not know before, which is so cool.
Yeah, we'll get into that for sure. So I actually think okay, but where's the acceptance part? Mm-hmm. Which I think, thinking about it, I think that the manuscript equals acceptance because it's sort of like the lightest shade of white.
Yeah.
And then it bumps from there. So the manuscript is acceptance. Anger or denial is the bolter, which makes sense to me because like the bolter is like, I'm in denial, I'm just gonna leave, like I'm bolting.
Mm.
The albatross is anger, and then bargaining. I don't know.
Mm.
I just feel
See,
like, where is acceptance?
I think if the manuscript is acceptance, or some people are also saying maybe Reputation TV is going to be acceptance, but I
Or
don't know if that really makes sense.
is reputation revenge?
Right. It could be revenge. I think that Midnights is denial.
Hmm.
I think Midnights is the album where,
I mean, yeah, come on.
yeah, it's like, I know it's the ending, but I'm pushing it off. Like that's no, this isn't really the end.
Right.
Um,
Because everyone after the Joe breakup is like, wait. Was Midnight's a breakup album? Were we in denial?
right.
Like, yeah.
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 So I think Midnights could be denial. I think the Bolter could work for anger.
It
Bargaining the Albatross,
depends.
I don't know. It's hard to say without hearing these songs. But then
Yeah.
I wonder if acceptance will be like there will be some final edition of this album that includes all four of those bonus tracks plus a final bonus track.
I mean, I'm assuming there's going to be more, especially with like the Target editions that are sure to come out. And
Mm-hmm.
we know that Taylor likes to just, you know, give us little treats. So
Yeah,
it's
from
very
the
likely.
vault.
Right.
So,
So, and then also she has like the vinyl like track list as like sides.
mm-hmm.
So A could be denial, the tortures post apartment down bad. B could be anger, fresh out the slammer in Florida.
Yeah, like
C,
these are songs that looking at ABCD as those things, these song titles like stuck out to me as like maybe relating to that. Um Denial with like
yeah.
the Tortured Poets Department and Down Bad, like I'm not so sure, but then Anger, like Fresh Out the Slammer seems like it could be a bit of like an angry
Mm-hmm.
bop, and then also Florida with 3 exclamation points, that could be anger. But then Bargaining
Oh,
on
this
that
is
side, we
for
have
sure.
I Can Fix Him, No Really I Can. That's
Yeah.
definitely bargaining. And then on the depression side, we have I Can Do It With a Broken Heart.
Mm-hmm.
So that works.
Yeah, I wonder where this theory came from because it just started to pop up on my TikTok feed with like these variants of colors and like the stages
Mm-hmm.
of grief. So it's been like a universally kind of shared idea. I wonder like where it actually came from, but I like it.
Yeah,
It's a cool
I do too.
concept.
It had me so confused for a while though, because everyone's using the same image of the colors and the different stages of
Yeah.
grief. And I thought that um, graphic was something that already existed. And they were like, look, Taylor's using the colors from this thing. So then I'm Googling trying to find that. And I was like, oh, people are just plopping in the colors or like making,
Right.
guesstimates of what the next color is going to be. But that
Right.
really threw me off for a little bit.
Yeah. So, should we go like variant by variant with some theories we have? I mean, we already shared the manuscript and the bolter in our previous episode. So, the manuscript, like some clues we got about the manuscript was like find the files, start find the artifacts, whatever
Hmm.
from Hits Different.
Right.
And
And
on
also, Dear
Taylor's
Reader.
website, yeah, on Taylor's website, it was artifacts, evidence, like on
Hmm.
there, and I was like, oh, that's a weird callback.
Yeah.
We talked about the bolter in our last when did we talk about the bolter?
Uh,
Past episode.
mhm.
And we mentioned that it's a book you had found by Idina Sackville, which
No,
came
it's
out
about Idina Sackville.
about Idina Sackville that came out in 2010.
Hmm. And
Bolters were women
Bolters were
who
women
left.
who broke the rules and fled their marriages.
Mm-hmm.
Idina Sackville was a famous Bolter known for her relentless affairs, wild sex parties, and brazen flaunting of convention.
Yeah.
We also have the VMA's after party video of Joe and Taylor bolting to the car
Yeah.
from the
And
paparazzi.
and in British slang, a bolter is typically someone who leaves relationships abruptly, which could be like a call out to either party in a relationship.
Hmm.
And then there was a theory that the bolter was like the bar where Taylor and Joe had their first date, but that was proven to be untrue because it opened in 2022. So
Right.
It is a bar in London, so it's very possible they may have eaten there or had a breakup there or something. Who knows? But
Yeah.
that's old
So,
news.
right. But the albatross, we have a lot to discuss about the
So much.
albatross. That was one that was released since we last recorded
Yeah.
and everything. Um, so there are several theories about the albatross. One of the main ones is the albatross is a type of bird,
Mm-hmm.
and a fully fledged young albatross will spend up to 6 years at sea before returning to land to find a partner. And then after that, they return to land each year to breed.
Wait.
So
How many years?
6 years, which is how long she and Joe were together. And it's like, so people are putting this together. You know, she and Joe had these 6 years together, but never quite landed. Like it never came to like the obvious conclusion of marriage or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I also was thinking about how, you know, in our astrology episode, we discussed how Joe is a Pisces. And so the albatross will spend up to 6 years at sea, at which point they only really like touch down onto water and like little things to like feed. And
Unsettled ground.
yeah,
Unsettled. Yeah.
yeah,
A
completely
restless sea.
unsettled.
Yeah. Ah! It's literally like when that theory came out, I was like, no. No, no,
Right.
no. No, 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 no.
There's so many things here because then also an albatross is a term for something impeding success. So it's like something that causes persistent, deep concern or anxiety,
Oh my
and
God.
also something that greatly hinders accomplishment. Like it's considered like an albatross around your neck is the phrase. But the thing that killed me was when I looked this up the day that it was announced. And I was like, wait, like I think I originally thought of it as like the albatross around your neck. The Merriam-Webster example of it being used in a sentence, this blows
Yeah.
my mind.
This is wild.
The sentence is fame has become an albatross that prevents her from leading a normal life. Like, are they Swifties? Are they in on this? Is this an Easter egg? Did Taylor
Yeah.
call up Merriam-Webster and was like, "Hey, will you do me a quick favy fave?"
All my fans are going to be Googling this term. You might want to change this.
Or did they change it that day?
No,
Because
really.
people like me
Really?
were doing this.
Yeah.
But yes, so I mean, that could totally be the topic of that song is that fame
Right.
has become an albatross that prevents her from leading a normal life.
Yeah. It's giving too big to hang out.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Monster on the Hill.
right. Another absolutely wild connection. And the reason why people were able to make this connection is because she performed a mashup of White Horse that led to Coney Island after announcing, "Hey, I have a thing. It's called the Albatross. Here's my mashup. Coney
Mm-hmm.
Island." Okay.
Which she sang with Sabrina Carpenter.
Right.
And I need the professional recording of this one ASAP.
It's so good. The
It was
harmonies are
so
so
beautiful.
beautiful. So people are like, "That's weird that she chose those songs. Like, what's up with that?"
Mm-hmm.
So here we go. Okay. In 1903, which, by the way, if you add that up, 1 plus 9 plus 3 is 13. Anyway, a fire started at the Albatross Hotel on Coney Island by an employee who was upset about unrequited love and ended up burning down, wait for it, the Bowery, a section of Coney Island.
Yeah.
And as a reminder, Joe's pseudonym is William Bowery.
I don't.
Ma'am.
She continues to be a witch, is what is happening.
If this is just a coincidence and she just wrote this song about the term albatross and it's like, oh, it's about fame. No, she didn't. Like this woman has the world wrapped around her finger. Like
Mm-hmm.
how?
I don't know. And then, okay, so another big one that people are tying this to is there's a French poem by Charles Baudelaire. It's
Baudelaire, yeah.
Baudelaire. Um, a French poem called The Albatross. And this poem, it it uses an elaborate metaphor to illustrate the poet's plight. So it exemplifies Baudelaire's vision of the poet as an outsider and visionary, one
Hmm.
whose unique perspective on the world remains unjustly unappreciated by the masses. And also remember, this is the song The Albatross is on the Tortured Poets Department album.
Right.
Okay. So in the poem, sailors capture and brutally mistreat an albatross, a bird that represents the poet. And this is where it gets really crazy. Okay. The final verse of this translates to: the poet is like this prince of the clouds who haunts the tempest and laughs at the archer. Exiled on the ground in the midst of jeers, his giant wings keep him from walking. And okay, so who haunts the tempest? Haunt is a
Haunted.
word that Taylor loves. We've got the song Haunted. And laughs at the archer. She has a
The
song called The
Archer.
Archer. Exiled on the ground. She has a song called Exile.
His giant wings, too big to hang out.
Yeah, his giant wings keep him from walking, which also sounds a lot like her fame is an albatross that keeps her from leading a normal life.
Yes. And then finally, everyone was like, why is she dressed so strangely at the Grammys? Homegirl was dressed like a full blown albatross.
Yeah,
Okay.
she was.
Like, it's the white dress with the black gloves. If you look at a picture of an albatross, it's kind of giving seagull, but it's not because they have these sort of like black, darker tips of their wings.
Mm-hmm.
She looked like an albatross.
She
Okay.
did.
Like the baby braid and the albatross.
Yeah. All of that, we've gotten all of that from a song title.
Yep. Yep.
Welcome
Yep.
to Swiftyland. This is
Yeah.
what happens in our brains all the time.
Just wait till the lyrics come out, guys. Okay? There's so
wait.
much to dig into. And then finally, we have the black dog. So, as you mentioned, the black dog equals depression. And I found this quote from BetterHelp that said, the black dog metaphor can represent the gradual overtaking of enjoyable activities you once loved, the person you once recognized in the mirror, or the life you once lived. So it's a representation of depression does not take breaks, but often feels like a shadow, like something that's following you as loyal as a canine,
Yeah.
which is so sad.
Yeah. And honestly, like as a depression girly myself, like this, I had never heard it being described as the black dog,
Me
but
neither.
that it really does feel like that.
Yeah.
Um, like when I realized I had clinical depression, I remember telling people like I don't feel like myself. Like I don't feel like myself anymore. And I also felt like it didn't to me it didn't really feel like a shadow following me. It felt like someone had put like a gray veil over my face.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like something clouding everything.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
but
like
yeah, also,
a persistent partner in your life that is always there.
yeah, very loyal. Definitely just hangs around.
Right. Right.
um, and also, I mentioned in our other episode that we just recorded that today I impulse bought the Black Dog edition of Tortured Poets, and I only realized afterwards, which I think I was definitely drawn to this, knowing that it talks about depression. So I'm like, I have a feeling this Black Dog song is gonna hit me hard.
I mean, you also had a black dog.
But that, yeah,
Like,
that's what I remembered. I was like, and I had a black dog. So it just felt right. I was like,
also
this is
that
the first vinyl I've ever bought.
that album cover is such a sleigh.
I love it.
Oh, we didn't talk about the album cover variants either, but like talking about that really quickly and then going back to the black dog. The
Mm-hmm.
album cover of the black dog is so cool. She is in a black background. It's like herself swallowing in her own hands and hair.
Yeah.
And then the albatross is her wearing a white shirt in front of what looks like the ocean behind her.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people have been comparing that to Joe Alwyn's movie cover.
That's
Um,
right. For
so
the
that's,
last letter from my lover.
yeah.
Um,
And it looks like a sad version of that movie
yeah.
cover.
Well, also the fact that it has the ocean in the background and the albatross is a seabird.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
we've got that too.
I want to know when this like whole photo shoot happened with Beth, because
Mm.
there's lots of variants. Also, a lot of the album art that has come out has sort of like harkens back to Midnight's.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
there's like different poses, and I know like listen, like there's only so many poses a person can do, especially someone who's not a supermodel. But like it
Hmm.
seems very in line that like there's a picture from Midnight's and then there's a picture almost the exact same pose.
Yes. It
But
seems deliberate.
yeah. So
I'm
we'll have to
sure
do
it
a side
is.
by side on social
Yeah.
media, but like it's a little too convenient.
Yeah. Um, Also continuing with the black dog stuff. The symbol of the black dog is the symbol of the two, because the idea is
Like in a shadow. Oh my
there go the
god.
balloons.
Mine doesn't work.
I don't know. Sorry, Laura. Um, because yeah, it's if you do this for shadow puppets, it looks like a
Right.
dog,
Right. The
which
black
is
dog.
pretty cool.
Yeah. And she has
So
been giving a lot of two signals.
yeah,
So,
yeah, she keeps doing that.
yeah.
Which who knows what that's about.
Well, I do think it's something deeper than that now because she keeps doing it and Taylor Nation has talked about it. So we'll see about that.
Mhm.
We'll probably know at the next point that this
Right.
podcast comes out.
Right.
Another thing too is that we know that one of the last tracks on all of the albums is Clara Bow. And we went into a deep dive about that in a previous episode. But apparently Clara Bow owned a black dog. So
Mhm.
that's another tie-in.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Also, did you know that Joe has a dog?
No.
But it's a husky, I think.
Mm,
So that's not really a black dog.
interesting.
But
Interesting.
like, did he have that dog when they were together?
He doesn't give dog owner energy.
Yeah, not really.
And with the
But I guess
cats,
he
how did that
is.
work?
That
Hmm.
I don't know.
Hmm.
Maybe that was the real reason they broke up.
Maybe cat and dog people. It's a combined family. Sometimes
Yeah.
does not work. Oh, and then we have to talk about Dear Reader.
Yes,
Okay.
we do.
So this blew my mind. This was not my theory. This was by Euro Sweetheart, which we'll link this TikTok on our show notes.
Mhm.
But Dear Reader, the first verse literally calls out each variant. So I'm gonna play that real quick. Hold on.
Dear reader, if it feels like a trap, you're already in one.
The albatross. Something
Yeah.
that causes great problems that you cannot escape from. Literally, you are in a trap.
Mhm.
Okay?
Yeah.
Let's continue.
Dear reader, get out your map, pick somewhere and just run.
Sarah, what is someone who runs away from things called?
A bolter?
Oh, okay. All right, next.
Dear reader, burn all the files, desert all your past lives.
Burn all your files, huh?
Mhm.
You mean like a handwritten manuscript that someone would write? Because manuscripts are handwritten and it's unpublished. Like a
Yeah.
file, like in a file somewhere. Okay, got it. Got it.
Mhm.
And then last but not least,
And if you don't recognize yourself, that means you did it right.
Mhm.
you don't recognize yourself. You mean the black dog metaphor represents the gradual overtaking of enjoying activities you once loved and the person you once recognized in the mirror? You don't recognize yourself? Just run?
Mhm. Yeah. Also, dear reader, at the beginning of each
I
of those
mean-
lines, Tortured Poets Department.
I mean,
What kind of spreadsheets is she rocking?
what Excel sheet does she have?
I don't.
Does she have a vision board where she just like
Yeah.
puts strings?
When did she
everywhere?
plan all of this? Or like did she write Dear Reader and then she comes back to it And it's like, I could do something with that.
Mm. This got me spiraling too, because I was like, okay, so how many times have her last tracks signaled what's to come? So I thought about that, and I was like, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought
Yeah.
about Afterglow, because Afterglow mentions, well, we had talked about in another episode that
Yeah.
perhaps that Midnight's was the follow-up album, because she talks about the things that she wants to be talked about, the things that she loves, not the things that keep her up at night. What does she write next?
Mm-hmm.
The things that keep her up
Yeah.
at night. Then I
Right.
thought about hoax on Folklore.
Okay.
The term hoax is like a dupe. You've been duped. You've been tricked. Haha. Actually, here's a second album. Okay. You think it's done.
Mm.
Here's Evermore, the sister album. Okay. And then I was like, okay, dear reader, like, that signaled the Tortured Poets Department, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, what else does that do? Like, what was the last? Oh my God, 1989. Isn't the last track on 1989 I Know Places?
It's clean.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah. Plus, remember, we probably have a lost album in between 1989 and Reputation. So,
Very true, very true.
yeah.
But that had me spiraling for a second. I was like, is she signaling at the end of each album what the next one's going to be? Because it's very eerily tied. I don't
I
know.
don't know.
I don't know.
Then we also had a couple other just references that we've discovered
Mm-hmm.
that relate to Tortured Poets. So there's in the Bejeweled music video, there's a shot of, is it called like a spindle?
Yeah, like a spindle wheel that
Yeah.
make your yarn out of.
Mm-hmm. Which is a reference to Rumpelstiltskin.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a TikTok video about this by specifically Kimberly, so we'll link to this. But Rumpelstiltskin is about spinning straw to turn it into gold. So alchemy.
Yeah, invisible thread.
Yeah.
Invisible string.
Invisible string. And also Rumpelstiltskin, the character, is like a very small man.
Mm-hmm.
And we have the song The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived, which is right before the alchemy on Tortured
Mm-hmm.
Poets. And in this TikTok, she talks about how like the story of Rumpelstiltskin has been described as a misogynistic tale of a man's fear of a woman's power.
And if I'm not incorrect, I believe that Rumpelstiltskin traps a woman for a period of time until she can actually turn the straw into gold. So it's about a woman being trapped.
A woman, yeah, she is told by like a king or someone who wants to she was supposed to marry. I think it's like if she wants to marry him, she has to turn the straw into gold. But if she doesn't, then it's like she'll die. And then Rumpelstiltskin says that he will help her, but then she owes him her firstborn.
Right.
And then unless she can guess his name.
Right.
But then she outsmarts both of them because she turns the straw into gold and figures out his name. So she prevails over both men trying to trap her.
A woman's smarts, setting her free and getting what she wanted.
Yeah.
Sounds familiar. Also,
Yeah.
she must have been on some like fairy tale kick when she did the Bejeweled music video, because we also missed another Ariel connection. We talked about how But Daddy I Love Him is a lyric from, But Daddy I Love Him is a song title that's been announced for Tortured Poets, but it's also a line ripped straight from 1989's The Little Mermaid. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an Ariel connection in the Bejeweled music video again, because the necklace in which Ariel, her voice is stored from Ursula is like this sort of like conch looking shell that's on a necklace.
Mm-hmm.
And literally that is in the music video.
Yeah.
And it's giving like, is she in her Disney era? Is that she is on Disney Plus now with her like,
That's
you
true.
know what I mean? And like the final scene is like the castle from the exterior that looks kind of Disneyfied. But I
Mhm.
thought that was like kind of weird. Like another Ariel. Is that maybe an Easter egg that Ariel slash Little Mermaid giving up her voice might be a theme?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like it's got to be.
It's too like pointed. I don't know.
It kind of also reminds me again of the albatross and like the fame being something that's keeping her from living a normal life.
Mm-hmm.
So if she gave up her fame and her voice and her singing, what could she have instead?
I don't know. It's
Mm-hmm.
probably something that keeps her up at night. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But I do think that there's this repeated theme in Taylor's music that like she's too soft for all of it and blah 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 blah. But take me to the lakes. But ultimately, she chose to be Bejeweled. Like
Mm-hmm.
so, this tug of war between like the fame and the quiet countryside life is something that she's probably been trying to sort out for a while. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, let's hope that we will find out
yeah,
when we finally get the song. We'll have a
yeah,
better idea anyway.
yeah. Little mini-sode catch up. I'm sure, like we said, I'm sure there's going to be more.
Mm-hmm.
By the time this episode comes out, we're going to be like, wait, we were already behind. So
Yeah. Yeah. So please excuse
one
the
thing about
delay.
us is that we have jobs. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Unfortunately.
yeah,
So,
I know.
yeah.
Maybe y'all can help us change that. But
Yeah.
right now,
Yeah.
we are the editors, we are the producers, we are the podcasters, we are the
Mhm.
researchers, we are the all of it. So
Exactly. Yeah.
bear
So,
with us.
but yeah, we wanted to get just this mini sode out there so that we can talk about all this stuff that's happening
Yes.
and can't wait to know more about this.
The news cycle is constantly on 10. So
Mm-hmm.
we're excited for that, but also be patient with us.
Yeah. Anyway, well, thanks so much for joining us. And if you'd like to support the pod, please give us a follow at Blank Plate Pod on TikTok and Instagram.
Yes. And you can check out our website at blankplatepodcast.com. And please send us an email at blankplatepod@gmail.com or leave us a voicemail at 717-382-8313. And you can be as unhinged as you want about this. So
Please.
please.
And until then, we had the time of our lives with you.
And you know, it's time to go.
So bye.
Bye.